So the green, Laos, I always remember Laos looking like a palm tree. You guys see the palm tree?
Yeah.
So that's how I remember Laos. And then Thailand is the one in yellow. And then Vietnam is that purple one on the side. So Laos is kind of smack dab between Thailand and Vietnam. And if you played Black Ops or something, one of the Call of Duty was Vietnam War base. And so this is the region we're at in the world. So this is called Indochina, which is underneath China, basically. So you guys see where China is on top there? All right, and then Burma. Okay. So this is where we are in the world, Indochina again. And then the second question was, or what is the question after that we got?
What was the Vietnam War fought over?
Oh, that's the bell work. So why was the Vietnam War fought? Who knows?
I think.
What were they trying to do there?
They wanted to make all of Vietnam into a communist country.
Very good. So we have the purple country, Vietnam, right? The north side wanted the south side to become communist, and so that's why they were fighting this war, okay? And what was America's involvement? What did America hate the most in the world at this time?
They said they wanted to make it not a communist country, but
Right.
they really took.
So after World War II, right, America's main enemy was communism, right? So anywhere in the world that was thinking about communism, America wanted to go there and stop that because America loves what? What did you guys know before class? We love capitalism, right? We love that money. And we love it being our money, not everybody's money, right? So Vietnam was going to become a communist state, so America wanted to stop this, okay? So that's what America's involvement was. They wanted to stop communism from spreading into Vietnam, right? And they thought if communism spread into Vietnam, it would spread out throughout Asia as well. Because China was already communist, Russia's already communist, and now Vietnam becomes communist, and maybe all of Asia would become communist. So we don't want that to happen, okay? Then the next question was, what is Hmong?
Instead of answering that question, I just want to link for my kids. Don't forget, guys, after French Revolution, as you can see right on the board, which I'm about to erase, after the French Revolution, our next revolution is the Russian Revolution. Okay, so later if you're like, oh, I want to learn more about the Communist Revolution, page 867, it's right on the board. All the things Mr. Hur is talking about are political SPEGs, leading into our social SPEGs, and this Indochina and the wars of Indochina, you can write your fourth quarter history portfolio paper on.
All right, so what is Hmong? Who can tell me what Hmong is? It's an ethnic group, right? It's not like we have our own country or anything like that. We're a minority group in Asia. I almost refer to us as like the Jewish people of Asia because we don't have a land of our own. We're continuously moving from country to country, and then we have little populations of people in various countries. But where we find our origin is China. I think that's like the next question down, is where we find our origin. We find our origin in China, and actually the highest population of Hmong people currently is still China. It's like up in the 4 million, and it's one of the largest minority groups in China, if that makes sense. Okay? So Hmong people originate from China, but then the Hmong people that we're going to be talking about are the Hmong people that migrate to Laos, and that's where my ancestors come from. So my great-great-great-grandpa was Chinese, and then he migrated to Laos, and then that's where my grandpa was born, my dad was born. And so these Hmong people that we'll be talking about today are from Laos, okay? And can someone tell me what the next question is, so I can kind of...
What country are the Hmong?
Yeah, I said China, okay?
It says what country are the Hmong who fought in?
Okay, so the Hmong people who fought in the Vietnam War are from Laos, okay? So we talked about the Vietnam War. A lot of people in America don't know, even your awesome history teacher did not know that a lot of some of the Vietnam War was actually fought in Laos. All right, this is called the secret war. It's called a secret because not a lot of people know that or knew that Vietnam was also fought in Laos. Right? It's called the Vietnam War. So where do you think the fighting was happening? Vietnam, right? People would think Vietnam. But actually a lot of the fighting happened in Laos. All right, because if we go back to this map, right, Laos is between, because again, we're fighting, Vietnam is north side fighting south side, right? So what's happening is the north is using Laos, right, the green country up there, as a bridge to get to the south. And so a lot of the war was actually happening in Laos, and a lot of people didn't know about that. Because Laos is supposed to be a peace or war-free territory. That's what Laos was supposed to be. But the North is actually using it as a bridge to get to the south. So they're trying to, so if we look at the map, they're trying to attack from the Vietnamese side, and they're also trying to attack the south side from the Laos side. Okay, does that make sense? So if we look at this map, this is actually American and Vietnamese bombing of Laos. So all the red dots you see are either bombs or mines that were placed into Laos. So does there look like a lot of war happening in Laos? Yeah, so all of those red dots, all right, so how are the Hmong people affiliated with this war? Well, Hmong people, again, like I said, lived mainly in Laos at this time. So we were hired by the Americans, the CIA, to help combat the Vietnamese from using Laos as this special way to get to the southern part. So my people were hired by America to fight the Viet Congs, the Vietnamese, the north side, from using Laos as a passageway to the south. Okay, we're also trying to stop the Ho Chi Minh Trail from crossing in there. You guys know you guys probably don't know what the Ho Chi Minh Trail is. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was a trail used as like it's like an underground tunnel that was connecting, or that the North was using to attack the South, and some of this trail went into Laos. And so the Hmong people were hired to stop the Vietnamese from using that. We're also hired to help any American pilots that flew and crashed into Laos. The Hmong people will go and do these rescue missions, rescue that American pilot, take them back to their village, keep them until the Americans could come to that Hmong village and rescue them back to the American base. So not only were we soldiers on the ground, but we were also on the rescue teams. And some Hmong people also were pilots that helped fly American warplanes as well. So there was about 8 different Hmong pilots, no, 13 Hmong American pilots, and one of my uncles is one of them. So that's a cool thing too, yes?
I was just going to ask you guys, I know you guys know, because we talk about it in class and we talk about prisoners of war, POWs. Who is someone who ran for president in your lifetime, who fought in the Vietnam War, and he was shot down?
John
Yeah,
Prentice?
I was just gonna say that.
John McCain, yeah. So John McCain was shot down in the Vietnam War. He was not able to be rescued in time, so he was a prisoner of the Vietnamese for a long time.
But there's a lot of stories of a lot of Americans that were rescued by the Hmong people, not everybody, but we're some of the rescue people that helped do that. So any questions so far on that part of the war? All right. And then my connection was both my grandpas were both soldiers, or they're both soldiers in this war. My dad was he was 10 when the war started back in like 68 and up till 75. And what my dad and them did, they're like little 10, almost teenagers, they actually hid in the forest. So he was telling me a story this weekend about how him and my uncles, because we went to a wedding in Michigan, tell me about this story how, you know, all of them didn't want to be in the war because they knew they only led to death, right? If you were going to become a soldier at that age, you were pretty much just guaranteeing yourself to death. So what they did was they all came together as a collective and they ran to the forest. And so when the Hmong generals came into town and were looking for all these Hmong boys to become soldiers, my dad actually snuck into the woods. And I was like, Dad's kind of like cowardly, but I'm like, you know, if I was in that same situation, I would probably done the same, right? You're like 10 years old. Imagine they're gonna tell you to become a soldier. Right, so that was one option for him. The other option was they could pay, if your family was wealthier, you could pay for another kid to take your place. So one of my uncles actually had that. They paid another boy to take their place. And now the Hmong also were hired by the Viet Cong as well. So some of the Hmong soldiers were actually hired to kill their relatives or another Hmong person. And actually a lot of, some of my uncles are they have a bad taste in their mouth because they met some Hmong Americans that were actually Vietnamese soldiers at that time. So there was a lot of Hmong killing other Hmong as well too. As long as you were being paid, you were like a hired gun, so it didn't matter who you were killing to some people, all right? So there were some good Hmong and some bad Hmong too, okay? So what we're gonna watch is this video. So the war goes up until 1975, okay? So in 1975, it's called the end of Vietnam was called the Fall of Saigon, which happened sometime in April in 1975. And this fall of Saigon was America's departure from Saigon, which is the capital of Vietnam at the time. They fly away home to America and they pull out all American troops. And so once this happens in 1975, all Hmong people become refugees and they become hunted by the Viet Cong. Why they be hunted by the Viet Cong? Because whose side were the Hmong people on? They were on the communist side. We were on the American side. So they were hunting us like they're trying to force a genocide on us. They're trying to kill. You guys know what genocide is?
Yeah.
It's like an extraction of an ethnic group because of their political ties. And so they're pulling a genocide. Basically, that's what made us a refugee, right? A refugee is what? A person that's forced to leave its home because of war or politics, right? So we become refugees at this point because America pulls out, and then we have no more ammo. So then that forces us to have to fight them on our own or depart. All right. So what you guys will see here is this departure to Thailand. So after the Vietnam War, we take and we've crossed the Mekong River. So you guys see the border between Laos and Thailand, right? That's actually a river called the Mekong River. And so the Hmong people had to cross the Mekong River to get to the refugee camps in Thailand. And so that's what we'll pick up from this video from 1979. And this is from CNN. Do y'all know what CNN, or 60 Minutes? You guys know what 60 Minutes is?
Yeah.
60 Minutes is like the first big news, like anything, news in America. Like before CNN, before all the other news channels, 60 Minutes was the source for news in America, okay? And so this is a little piece from 1979.
Didn't you look like some time ago you pointed out your dad in one of the videos?
I don't know, we'll see.
Mr. Hurd, do you want the window closed and lights off?
Yes, we can do that.
So if the Asia or someone who's over there can move that one.
Yes, you guys saw this already.
I just put on a story of a remarkable and little-known group of those refugees, the veterans of our so-called secret war in Laos.
And Saigon fell, guys, April 30th. April
War
30th.
against the communist
So
Republic of Laos
in just a
and
couple of
the
weeks is when
Vietnamese.
Saigon would have
Not with
fallen.
American
About
troops,
40
but with native Laotians
41 years
instead.
ago.
Tens of thousands of them, Hmong tribesmen. We used to call them the males, but they don't like that name. To them it sounds like Guk or Slope. Hmong means free men, they say. And though some few of the Hmong fought on the side of the communists, the great majority fought for us under the direction of and on the payroll of the CIA. When we lost the war, the North